and welcome back to another episode of E-commerce Clearly. So today's episode is a little different. While we'll continue breaking down some of the most interesting reports, policies and trends shaping the e-commerce industry, I'm also starting a new series where we reverse engineer different e-commerce categories. The idea is simple. Instead of only talking about marketing or growth hacks, I want to understand how these businesses are actually built. How do they operate? What happens behind the scenes? How do they manage logistics, customer support, inventory, technology, fraud, unit economics, and everything else that the customers never get to see? Because I genuinely believe that that's where the biggest lessons for founders and operators lie. And I thought, what better category to start with than jewelry? A couple of weeks ago, I ordered a piece from Jiva. Honestly, I wasn't thinking about e-commerce. I just liked the product. A few days later, it arrived. Actually, it arrived in just 2 days from Bangalore to Mumbai. OTP verification, great packaging, constant delivery updates. The entire experience felt familiar. It felt like ordering from Amazon, and that's when I stopped thinking like a customer and started thinking like an e commerce operator because jewelry isn't supposed to be this easy. You are shipping products that could be worth rupees 2000 or 2 lakh. Customers can't touch them before buying. They can't verify authenticity. Every shipment carries risk. Every return could potentially involve fraud. So, how are brands actually making this work? That one purchase sent me down a rabbit hole. Over the next few weeks, I studied some of India's largest jewelry brands, Chiva, Bluestone, Carrot Lane, Candier, and Palmonas, not from a marketing perspective, but from an operator's perspective. I went through their websites, return and exchange policies, founder interviews, company filings, industry reports, and customer journeys to understand how these businesses actually work. Because behind every beautifully designed necklace is an incredibly sophisticated e commerce operation. One quick thing before we begin. This episode is based on a detailed Ecom Beyond Dropship research report that I put together alongside the podcast. Naturally, we can't fit weeks of research into a single episode. So, if you'd like to explore the industry in much more detail, including brand case studies, operational breakdowns, policy comparisons, and founder takeaways, you'll find the link to the complete research in the description below. Let's reverse engineer India's jewelry e-commerce industry today. When people think about e-commerce in India, fashion comes to mind, beauty, electronics, quick commerce, jewelry rarely enters the conversation, which is surprising because India is one of the largest jewelry markets in the world. For generations, jewelry wasn't just another purchase, it was emotional, it was cultural, it was an investment. The trust wasn't built through websites, it was built through relationships. Families bought from the same jeweler for decades. People wanted to touch products, compare them, negotiate, build trust. If someone had told you 10 years ago that people would happily buy diamond jewelry online, most would have laughed. But today, that's exactly what's happening, which made me wonder what changed. Was it marketing? Was it influencers? Or was it something much deeper? I think it was trust, and trust is actually an operational problem. Let's compare. If you order a t-shirt, worst case, it doesn't fit, you return it. Done. If you buy a moisturizer, maybe it doesn't suit your skin. Again, return. Now imagine buying a 60,000 rupee diamond necklace online. Completely different game. The product needs certification, hallmarking, premium packaging, insurance, secure warehousing, specialized logistics, tamper proof packaging, authentication, repair support, resizing, cleaning, polishing, and then customer support. Because if someone says, I received an empty box, or the diamond is missing, or this isn't the same product, you can't simply click refund. Every claim needs investigation. That's when I realized jewelry companies aren't just e commerce companies, they are logistics companies, insurance companies, customer experience companies, and fraud prevention companies all rolled into one. So now here's where it gets interesting. Every successful jewelry brand solved a different problem. Let's start with Jiva. The first question I asked myself was, why silver? Why didn't Jiva launch with gold? Think about it. Gold requires massive working capital, higher customer trust, higher inventory cost, higher operational complexity. Silver was a much smarter starting point, affordable enough for impulse purchases, premium enough for gifting. large enough market, and young consumers didn't have many branded silver options back in the day. Instead of competing against legacy jewelers, Jiva created a category, affordable everyday silver jewelry. And then, as consumer trust increased, they expanded gold, lab grown diamonds, offline stores. Their strategy wasn't to become India's next Tanishq overnight. It was to become the first branded jewelry purchase for an entire generation. And something else stood out to me, the delivery. As I mentioned earlier, I ordered from them. The experience genuinely surprised me. Professional packaging, fast shipping, OTP based delivery, constant communication. It felt less like ordering jewelry and more like ordering from the best e commerce companies in India. That's a huge lesson. Customers don't compare your delivery with another jewelry brand, they compare it with Amazon. Now, imagine you are Bluestone. Someone just ordered a 2 lakh engagement ring. Ask yourself, how do you ship it? How do you insure it? What happens if the customer isn't home? What happens if they claim the parcel was empty? What happens if they return a fake ring? Suddenly, you realize why Bluestone invested so heavily in omni channel. Stores aren't just sales channels, they are trust centers, pickup points, consultation centers, repair centers, authentication centers. Customization becomes another huge differentiator. Indian consumers love personalized jewelry, engagement rings, wedding jewelry, name pendants, custom sizes, and that's incredibly difficult operationally. But if you solve it well, you build enormous customer trust. Bluestone isn't selling expensive jewelry, they're selling peace of mind. Next, we go to Carrot Lane. Carrot Lane asked a fascinating question. What if customers don't want online or offline? What if they want both? Today, we call it omni-channel. Back then, it wasn't obvious. Customers discover online, visit stores, try products, order digitally, collect offline, repair offline, exchange offline. It's one continuous experience, not two separate businesses. I genuinely think Carrot Lane changed how Indians think about jewelry shopping. Technology didn't replace stores, it made them even more valuable. Another is Candier. Candier is interesting because it was born online. That changes everything. Instead of adapting an old jewelry business for e commerce, they built an e commerce business from day one. Everything starts digitally. Search, discovery, filters, merchandising, customer communication, product visualization. Only later does retail become an extension, not the foundation. That's a completely different way to build. And lastly, I came across Palmonas, and immediately the vibe felt different. This wasn't trying to be another traditional jewelry brand. It felt like a lifestyle brand, creator led, celebrity backed, Instagram first, fashion forward. Their customer isn't necessarily searching for jewelry, they're discovering it while scrolling Instagram. That's a completely different acquisition engine. But it creates another challenge, luxury expectations without luxury pricing. Customers still expect beautiful packaging, fast shipping, excellent customer support, easy exchanges, premium experience. Operationally, that's incredibly right. So, who's right? Here's what surprised me, nobody, or rather, everybody. Because each brand is solving a different problem. Study Jiva for category creation, study Bluestone for trust, study Carrot Lane for omni-channel, study Candier for digital first thinking, study Palmonas for modern consumer branding. Together, they've completely rewritten jewelry e-commerce in India. So what happens after you click buy now? This became my most favorite part of the research because nobody talks about it. Imagine someone places an order. Now what? Inventory is verified, product inspected, hallmark checked, certificates added, warranty card inserted, premium box packed, tamper proof seal applied, insurance documentation created, courier assigned, delivery OTP generated. Tracking begins. The customer only sees one notification. Your order has been shipped. Behind that notification, hundreds of operational decisions have already happened. That's e commerce. Customer support is actually the moat here. The more I researched, the more I was convinced that the customer support is one of the biggest competitive advantages in jewelry. Imagine these tickets. My ring is too small. My package arrived damaged. I think the diamond is loose. I received an empty box. Those aren't customer service tickets, they're operational investigations. Support teams probably work with logistics, quality control, warehouse teams, insurance partners, and sometimes even stores. That's why jewelry customer support is so different from apparel. You're not solving complaints, you are protecting trust. And the biggest lesson, Initially, I thought jewelry companies were competing on design. I don't think that's true anymore. Design can be copied and ads can be copied, influencers can be copied, even website can be copied. But operational excellence, that's incredibly difficult to replicate. And maybe that's the biggest takeaway from this entire episode. Marketing gets customers, operations keep them, and in jewelry, operations are marketing. I started this research because I ordered one product. I ended it with a completely different appreciation for businesses behind these brands. The next time you receive a jewelry package, remember, you're not just opening a box, you're opening the result of thousands of operational decisions designed to earn your trust. And honestly, that's what fascinates me most about e commerce. If you've enjoyed this deep dive, let me know which industry you'd like me to reverse engineer next. And before I let you go, I want to tell you about something I'm really excited about. Alongside every episode of e commerce clearly, I'm also publishing a detailed research report. Think of the podcast as the conversation and the report as the deep dive. The first report breaks down India's jewelry e commerce industry from market trends and brand case studies to operation and logistics, customer support, and founders' lessons. If you'd like to go beyond what we discussed today, you can download Ecom Beyond Dropship Research Report 1 using the link in description. I genuinely hope it's useful. Also, I talk about if you are building in jewelry, what you should do to make sure you are protecting your customer trust while also scaling and building. Happy building. Until then, keep learning, keep building, and I'll see you in the next episode of e commerce clearly. Bye bye.